temporarily. Quick na lang tayo, no? Because I received an email from the AVP and the chair that there might be changes, that schedules may change because for certain reasons, like I believe now there was difficulty with people logging in at Daigler. Is that correct? And yesterday was supposed to be a union holiday for faculty teachers. We are not sure if it's going to be declared the whole day or not. Anyway, I have assigned you a performance assessment, no, already. So you can go on with the performance assessment without, in case classes are suspended or changed. Okay. Any questions so far? Now, I have changed the schedule of our, I have extended the performance assessment number 1 to January 30. So yung performance assessment number 2 is also moved to January 30. Okay? Do you follow? 31 pala, no? 31, okay? I-move ko na ito sa 31. Okay? So, sabay na ito sila, no? And it will not be moved anymore. Okay? Do you follow? So I have moved this already. Let me check the first performance assessment. So ang coverage natin hanggang stylings, no? W3 and CSS and Bootstrap, no? CSS, mainly CSS. We assume that you already know how to do the HTML, no? Saan ko ba nalagay, no? But anyway, it's there, no? Okay, for the moment, we will proceed to a new lesson. Okay? Any questions so far? Any questions? So, next week, no? Most probably on a Thursday na lang para hindi tayo magmadali. Okay? Any questions? So, I presume you have understood the rubrics, no? For the second performance assessment, which is due on also on January 31. Okay? Now, a very important topic before we go into server-side programming, no? Kasi kailangan natin mag-server-side programming and I'm looking for a free host. I seem to have forgotten, no? Okay, host with cPanel. Ang problema kasi sa GitHub wala siyang cPanel. So we cannot install MySQL. We cannot install we will need SAMP, no? Apache, SAMP, Linux, no? You can have WAMP on Windows, no? But SAMP will also work on Windows. No? Tingnan nga natin ito with cPanel. Kahit konti lang, no? Kahit konti lang yung free. Bluehost.com is this free? No? So we don't have to, mahirap kasi magsigi if we are going to keep on using Visual Studio code because it will be difficult for me to check your assignments, your output. No? May bayad. Hostinger is a very bad host. No? And if you can look for a free host, you inform me, okay? Katulad ng katulad sa the same as GitHub. Does GitHub with a cPanel? Otherwise, you have to work with your PC, no? Meron ba ito siyang cPanel? How do we install a cPanel? cPanel is a different, there's a website called cPanel. Problema nito, does it allow us to install services like Apache, no? And MySQL. Kasi kailangan nating mag-MySQL eh. Okay. So, meron akong na-encounter last year but I've already forgot that, no? Because I haven't been using it. No? So we need a free host like GitHub or W3 Spaces, which has a cPanel or a control panel, which will allow us to install MySQL, no? And our desired web server. Okay, are you using this? Have you used a host with a cPanel? Anyone?
No, sir.
Wala lagi? Sige, wala man kasi libre. I have used an actual cPanel before, no, but which I paid for anyway, no. So the good thing about it is we can already, like GitHub, we can run our web pages right away in the internet, no. Hindi na tayo mag compile and so on and so forth, just like W3 Spaces. Okay. So if you can find one, kindly inform me, no, so I can help you. We can make use of it. No? Wala na itong akong Let me just look for my password first. Bakit ito Okay, ang akong my W3 Spaces. W3 Spaces. Okay. Okay. Wala na. Oops, yeah. No, I've retrieved it. Anyway, gamit tayo dito. Okay. So, you're doing di ba? You're doing event-driven programming in another class currently, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Are you using JavaScript?
Yes, sir.
Have you discussed jQuery?
No, sir. Not yet, sir.
Okay. But you know the event listeners in JavaScript? Kasi event-driven yun eh. So, the very first thing you need to know is event listening. Na-discuss na ba? Event listeners? Wala pa. In JavaScript? Anyway, we will discuss them again, okay? Wala pa, walang problema. I-discuss natin ulit. So our next topic will be JavaScript and jQuery. You all know how to do JavaScript, right? But currently, there are 6 versions of JavaScript. No? So, nandito yan sa ating I will show you that later. No? Okay. So there's a whole tutorial of JavaScript, but in W3 schools. I'd like you to take a look at this. No? Pwede naman kayong anyway, we'll be using it from time to time also. So, nandyan, lahat ng tutorial. Maganda yung kanyang tutorial. It serves with an introduction, no? Okay, they follow. And then, after JavaScript, we will go to jQuery. What is JavaScript and jQuery? How is it different from HTML and CSS? Anyone? Anyone? HTML is used to provide content, right? Lagyan mo ng paragraphs, static content. Images, okay? What do you need to do? Buttons, whatever you need to do there. And then CSS and Bootstrap and the CSS frameworks are used to do styling. Do you follow? Okay?
Yes, sir.
So, anong gamit ng JavaScript?
To make the web page interactive, sir. Respond
Yes.
to the user.
Para give more life, di ba? Give more
Yes,
life.
sir.
Para kung sa Coke pa, add life. Adds more to life. It is used to add animation and events and reactions to events. Di ba? Animation talaga ito. Gusto natin maglagay ng animations, and if there are events that occur in the web page, the web page will be able to react like it's an intelligent object. Do you follow? Di ba? So, the main difference here is we are not styling, but we are doing some animations, no? Para may interaction, maganda titingnan yung ating there's life in our web page. Okay? Do you follow? No?
Yes, sir.
Oh, that's good, no? So a very important concept to understand is the JavaScript DOM. Have you discussed this already? DOM? There was a teacher one time named Dom, no? And he was very good in web development. Document object model. A document object model is a tree structure. Okay, it's a data structure which is used by the browser. The modern browser, most browsers, all browsers nowadays are DOM based, no? In rendering a web page, no? Do you follow? For example, it also helps, no, JavaScript to pick the right element to animate given a source, a code, no, given a programmer's code, no. So if you have Java, an HTML, no, the browser will like create a tree of objects. Like, for example, you will have a body, right? And then you will have, there's an element called a body. There's a head, no. So i-construct niyan into a tree structure, so that it will be, because it will be used in rendering the page, no. Yung mga divs, no, they will be used in rendering the page. In fact, when we reach, no, later, no, we'll discuss a component in JavaScript called React, no, which will allow us to render particular divs only. Do you follow? Because traditionally, no, when you update a page, the whole page will be rendered by the browser, by Chrome or by Edge or by Internet Explorer, no, or by Firefox, no. I-render yan ulit from scratch. So such a process could be very time consuming, no. If you have noticed Facebook nowadays, no, when you pick a post, even in Instagram or many others like sa Lazada, no, if you put a post, no, on a certain area, only that specific post will be refreshed by the browser, not the whole page. Do you follow? That's the secret of using a DOM, no? When there's a DOM, JavaScript will be able to pick the particular objects that needs to be rendered again, no, depending on the update that is done dynamically by a JavaScript. Okay, so it's called a DOM, document object model, no. So there are many examples here. Now, if you have an object, rather a web page, no, automatically JavaScript will give you a DOM, no. It will construct a DOM. Okay, any questions? Okay, so document object model, we'll be going back and forth with this. There are 6 versions of JavaScript. Now, the original version of JavaScript uses an onload event. Okay, what is an onload event? You have used this before, right? In our previous class, no? The onload event is a function. If you have a body onload, no? Okay, it specifies a function that will be executed the moment your web page has fully loaded, right? Diba we have used this before? Sang project ba yun? I'm not sure, no? Basta gagamitin natin itong onload in the body to call a JavaScript function that we want to execute at the beginning, so that we can do certain animations, no? Okay, or certain assignment statements like messages, no, and so on and so forth, no. Any questions so far? I'm sure you have used this before, no, because I've used this as an example in my intro to computing class, no. Do you follow? Ganito, no? Okay, so when you run, so there's when you run onload, we search an alert. So this is the alert, okay, which means that after the page is loaded, the onload function is called, and we have specified it by the onload property of the body element. Do you follow? Any questions? No? Onload property. we call a JavaScript function. Okay, we can put it in a JavaScript file or we can call it within the script tags. Who's done this before? Oh, you have done this before, no? I'm sure, no? Because you have passed through intro to computing. Okay. So onload is a very important it's a very important JavaScript function. Why? Because it's the beginning of the event listener. Pwede tayo maglagay ng event listener doon. Okay? From the onload function, we can start listening to events like clicks, hovers, no? Pwede tayo mag-ano ng mga ano, okay? Meron pa ba, do I have bakit wala? Nandito yung ano, events and event listeners. Can we discuss this ahead, no? Okay. DOM events and event listeners. Ito, for example, sa onload, pwede ka maglagay ng event listener such as on-click of H1. Do you follow? On-click is an event listener that will listen for a click event. Okay? Mayroon ding on-change, no? Okay? Do you follow? So you can try this yourself, no? You know? Okay. Click this text. Yes, no? So nagli-listen na siya ngayon ng event. It's now listening to events that happen to the web page. Okay? So meron tayong on-click of H1. Okay? We are able to dynamically change the content, no, of the using the event listeners, no. So meron tayong event listeners, no. So inside a JavaScript, okay, we can add an event listener to each object or each element. For example, here we are adding an event listener for the click event, no. So we have add event listener. This is a old JavaScript, right? No, old JavaScript, but there's a new JavaScript, you know, that will make it easier for us to listen to events that happen in the web page. Okay. Okay. So we can add an event listener to, for example, given an element H1, no? Okay. For example, this, kukunin niya yung BTN. They follow in the script. You know, get element by ID, right? We will discuss this again anyway, no? And then we had the function add event listener. Okay, so that when you click this button, okay, it will dynamically issue an alert. Okay, so we can listen to events and respond to them accordingly, no, to what we design our web page to be, like whether it is a what grade encoding by teachers, no, shopping carts, diba? And so on and so forth. Okay, okay, so usually, no, that's the normal use of the most popular use of JavaScript, to listen to events that happen inside the web page, no? Do you follow? No. So ang gamit ng JavaScript is for animation, events, and event listening and response. How to respond to the events. Okay? So basically, no, we can start our event. Oh, nawala naman. So, sorry, nandyan, no? We can start listening to events on the onload function of the body. Do you follow? Do you follow? If you want to write a program that will listen to all events, we can start with the onload, no? And then dito sa onload, we can add event listeners to all objects, no? Like buttons, no? Headers, no? Okay, if you click a header, if you click on whatever it is, no? So ito, there's a navigator click. Okay, do you follow? So i-check niya kung cookies are enabled in the browser or not. You know what cookies are? We will discuss them again anyway when we reach server-side programming. Kasi yung mga passwords, no, sa cookies yun ilagay. Okay? So sa onload event pagsisimula. Now, when we assign events to particular elements like buttons, no, selectors, labels, text boxes, okay, we'll have to use a JavaScript selector. The traditional JavaScript selector is the get element by function. Okay, the most popular of which is get element by ID. Okay, what do we mean by get element by ID? Document that get element by ID demo. Anyone? You have done this before, right? Because we can
Yes,
assign,
sir.
di ba? Pwede natin lagyan ng ID yung mga elements doon.
Yes,
Okay?
sir.
When we say get element by ID demo, we are picking an element with an ID named demo.
Yes, sir.
You follow? So we can also get elements by name. Kasi meron ding name property, right? Okay? We can also get elements by name. We can also get elements by class name. Do you follow? Di ba?
Yes, sir.
We can get an element by class so that we can change the even the CSS, the characteristics of the class one time inside the code during runtime. No? So what are our selectors? The get element by. No? We have 5. Get element. Get the most popular of which is get element by ID. We also have get elements by class name. Okay, you have get elements by name because you can assign a name can repeat, no, an ID cannot. Get elements by tag name. So for example, H1. Gusto natin i-targetan lahat ng pick all H1s, pick all paragraphs. Okay, let's have an example here. Meron siya yata example eh. Wala na siya example. Li is list item. Okay? So gusto ita-target niya. Okay, so kinuha niya, no? Okay. So you can target all LIs, no? Second element of LI. Why is it a second element? Sorry, no? Click the button to display the inner HTML of the second element. Bakit LI? Bakit pangalawang LI? How did it pick? Because it's an LIX1, no? Because X0 is the first element in the list. So let's try this as 0, no? O coffee, no? Do you follow? Do you follow? No? So now
Yes,
we can.
sir.
So you see now we have a little animation based on a button, and we pick the button. No, we select the button using get tag element tags li. No, ang function is the on click of the button. Okay, do you follow? No, but incidentally, pwede rin natin yung i-pick. We can also pick the element, the listener of the button inside the JavaScript itself. No? Ito sa labas siya, no? Do you follow? We can put this on the on load and then add an event listener to the button. Okay? Do you follow? But we will do a lot of that, no? When we reach, no? A different syntax kasi yung gagamitin natin. Hindi na tayo old JavaScript. Okay? So, how do we select elements traditionally in JavaScript? We use the get element by function, no? Get element by ID, get elements by name, get element by class name, get element by tags, tag names, and so on and so forth. No? Do you follow? Now, how do we change dynamically the content of an HTML depending on an event? Okay, depending on an event. We have the function called inner.html. We can also have text, right? Do you follow? Do you follow? Gusto ko sana yung may button. Is there an example with a button? Now, remember in the past you had a calculator, right? Yung centigrade to Fahrenheit, meters to feet. Do you follow? Diba? Pag-click ng ano, you get element by ID of an ano, and then you get an inner HTML. Do we have that? By the way, no? Titingnan ko muna, no? Diba, no? Do you follow? Meron tayo dito, no? Na ito, computation of natural numbers. grade computation. Can you have that? Ito na. View page source. No? So ito, dito natin ilalagay ang grade. No? We have an element grade which is an H1, an H2, and we have another element letter G. And then we are going to use get element by ID grade. And we say inner.html. We are dynamically changing, no, inside the inner.html, no, the value of the text value. Do you follow? Of H2. Okay, and then the letter grade, we're also getting the inner.html, no. So the important property to change the content, no, of a text is usually inner.html, no. Okay. So there are many other ways, no? Okay. You follow, like ito, how to change the source, no? How to change the source. Okay. I-change na niya dito, no? But based on a button, you can also change, no? Pwede kayong gumawa ng carousel where you have a button of previous and next, and then depending on the, no, you can change what appears on the button, or rather on the image. Do you follow? No? So inner.html yung property sa ano, it's image.source, .src, source, no? Okay. Do you follow? Now, to be able to add HTML, you also have document.write, no? When you say document.write, you're adding an HTML, no, inside the JavaScript. Okay? Okay, so ilalagay niya yung ito document.write, the date. Okay? Pag i-run mo, ilalagay niya yung current date. Do you follow? So there are many ways to alter the contents of your HTML using JavaScript. But the most common is that inner HTML. No? How do you change the CSS? For example, there's an assigned CSS style sheet for an element. Okay? So nandito, no? Changing the CSS. Okay? You can have that style. Okay? Get element by ID dot style, and whatever style you have, foreground color, background color, mark borders, margins, no, whatever you want, whatever style it is, there it exists, no. For example, in that appears for that applies for that element that you want to okay, so remember, no, that style. Okay, so binabago-bago na niya, that color. Okay, so that style is used to change the assigned CSS of the element, no, using JavaScript. Okay. Now, how do you change simple scroll animations, no? Ipa-scroll yung mga text, do you follow? No? With JavaScript, no? Nandito. I have a video, no, which I would like you to look at. Tagalog lang, very easy to okay. Ito, let's try this. Now, if you are going to click scroll inside the div, it will give you the vertical ito yung kanyang the position, okay. But there's another one which really scrolls the scroll bar. Okay. Ito na lang. Di follow? Okay, scroll niya, no? Do you follow? You get my point? Somebody's what's happening to lately, no? There's somebody's roaming around the neighborhood and then making an announcement. Is there going to be a change, no? In the alert level sometime? We're not sure, no? No? So anyway, let's go back to that, no? So simple scrolling, no? you can shift the position, no? DOM animations, okay? JavaScript. Okay. Wala ang regular. Okay. Container, no? Okay. How did it change? It will change the, no? It will change the wala naman siyang ano. What will this do? Wala naman siyang ginawa, no? Animations, no? Sige lang. But in your third performance assessment, you are going to make lively websites which has life, no? Yung may animations, ano, events that listens to events, no? So ito na yung event listeners that we have described, no? Okay. Get element by ID on click. Okay. And then the event listeners, you can add event listener. Okay. You can add an event listener to a click. Meron ba siyang ibang ano? To other events. Okay. Mouse over. Okay, let's try this, no? Event listeners, no? Oh, pag i-mouse over mo, nililisten niya. This is the mouse over event. Let's click. This is the click event. If you remove the mouse, that's the mouse out event. Do you follow? So that's add event listener. No, the add event listener by JavaScript. No? We still have this in the new JavaScript, no? But the syntax is a little different. No, it makes it shorter. Yun lang naman pagkakaiba ng ano. Okay, did you discuss this in event listening? In events driven? I don't know what's the content. No, I was supposed to teach that course, no, but I declined it because I'm not sure what's going to be taught there. So anyway, so that's basically the concept of event listening. We can add an event listener. We can assign this in our own load function. Do you follow? If we are going to assign this to our own load function, right away we'll have an event listener for all events of your web page. Do you follow? Do you follow? Ilalagay natin ito lahat, no? Inside the on load. Any questions so far? Now there will be shorter syntaxes, no? Kasi ito old JavaScript syntax, no? JavaScript 1, no? Any questions so far? Now before we proceed, let's go to JavaScript objects and JSON. No? JSON and JavaScript objects are the same. JSON means JavaScript object notation because the traditional notation used is XML. Ngayon wala na tayong XML but we are using JSON. No? When you have a JavaScript object, you usually identify it close it in curly braces, no? And they come in pairs, no? For example, there's a property and a value, a second property and a value, and a property and a value. That kind of a notation, property and value notation, is called JavaScript object notation, JSON. Okay, do you follow? Now this is important because later when we do Ajax, no, we will transfer data from the user, no, to the server and back again. Okay, data should be transferred, should be JSONized, no? Ibig sabihin, dapat i-convert muna sa JSON, dati i-convert into XML. Nowadays, the traditional medium of data transfer is JSON format. So value, name and value pairs. Okay? Do you follow? Pag JSON, name and value pairs. Okay? Like this, we have an object called a person. So what are the properties? First name and the value is John. Last name and the value is Doe. Age and the value is this, and eye color and the value is that. That is called JavaScript object notation. Okay, We just mentioned that, no? Okay. Versions of JavaScript. Ang daming versions ng EMAScript. This is the first edition, yung mga on-click style na ginawa natin sa sa Intro to Computing. Oh, JavaScript 1997, it's older than you are. Okay. EMAScript 2 is 1998. How old are you? 1998, 2008, 2018. This is older than you. 1999, no, older than you. Now the latest version is EMAScript 6. Now all the versions are based on EMAScript 6, no, but there are just increments. No? May mga dinagdag lang na mga objects. Okay, like for example, by the way, in EMAScript 5, ES5, no, that's 2009 version, strictly JSON. Nandito lumabas yung JSON. Okay, okay, sa ES6, no, may mga dinagdag. And then the syntax are different. The syntax for declaring functions is different. Okay, so these are the different versions. Now we have 2018 version. So meron na siyang rest and spread. I haven't tried this yet, but this will be very useful. We'll try to use this doon sa ating server side application. Okay. So now you know what JavaScript is, right? It is used to animate and add events and event listeners. No? Okay. Meron na naman bagong dumating. Sino ito? J. Tan. Okay. Maingay yung bagong Zoom. No, I'm sorry. Please. So next week ko na ibibigay yung nito, no? Yung rubrics dito sa JavaScript. jQuery. Yung React is postpone natin sa konti, no? And then the most interesting part is when we reach Node.js, no? And Express.js. Server side na tayo, lilipat na tayo dun sa server. Ngayon nandito pa tayo sa browser side, no? Or the client side. Okay? Web design pa tayo, no? Sa design pa tayo. Wala pa tayo sa web development. Web dev is different from web design, okay? Okay. What are the differences between ES5 and ES6? How do you declare functions? This is by Zach Heisey. Popular ito siya, no? Very popular web developer. Here is the traditional way when you declare a function. No? The function sum A, B. No? Return A plus B. You have a the reserved word called function. You have a function name. You have the parameters. Now remember, JavaScript is typeless. Okay, the type depends on the value that is assigned. So we return A plus B semicolon, and then we call the function called by calling it sum A14. There's no semicolon here, maybe because this is the last line. Okay. Okay. Now in ES5 no version, the function name is optional. Okay, they are called nameless functions. Okay, kasi most of the time gagamitin mga function once lang, so you don't have to assign it a name. Do you follow? Okay. Okay. So you can say var sum equals function A comma B, and then you write down the body of the function right there, and then on the fly they follow A plus B. Now the variable here, sum here, will have the value of the sum A and B. Now you can say sum for 12. No? Do you follow? Do you follow? It will return 16. The variable sum is used also as the name of the function. So there in JavaScript ES5, there's a difference between the declaration and the function expression. Okay. So for example, this is a declaration. This is the actual expression. Psalm 23:27. Okay. This is the function declaration. This is the function declaration. This is the function expression. Okay. Sa ES5, this will now return 20. No, undefined ang sum dito. No? But the sum variable is already assigned. Dito invalid ito. No? Sa ES5. Now you may ask, are we still allowed to use named functions? Yes. No? Especially if you are going to repeat them. Okay? Do you follow? The nameless functions are optional. Okay? Because most of the time, functions are only used once. Okay? Now sa ES6, by the way, yung video sa YouTube, no, which I have assigned you, sometimes may shift from ES5 to ES6. You should be able to determine the difference. No? Okay? Ito, sum equals, nawala na yung word na function. Do you follow? In ES6, the word function is deleted. Okay? It's implicit. It's implied that you have the word function. And it has parameters A and B. And this notation refers to the body of the function. Okay? This is a nameless function with parameters A and B. And this right away is the body of the function. So pwede mo nang i-call yung sum 412 like this. Okay? So ganito, do you follow? Okay? Double sum, A plus B. So double is var A plus double equals 2, and then we return double. Okay? Okay, double sum is pareho lang siya, no? This is the long version, which is a body, and this is the short version. Now, if the body is only one-liner, you can omit the curly braces. Do you follow? Do you follow? No? So it looks strange, no? Because they did not only remove the name, but they also removed the function, the function itself, the word function itself, the ES6. Do you follow? Do you follow? No? Okay. So merong ano, no? Ito. We'll have more examples later. Na ngayon, concepts lang muna tayo. jQuery. Anyone who has used jQuery? What's jQuery? Who owns jQuery? Kasi ang ano, ang Bootstrap is owned by Instagram, no? jQuery, the case is camel case, no? It looks like a camel, small letter J, capital letter Q. Oh, hindi pala, no? John Rizig, jQuery. Now, what is jQuery? Anyone? Diba? In CSS, you can create your own styles, right? You put it in a styles.css file. Or your alternative will be to use a CSS framework, which already has built-in styles, right? You can use bootstrap.css, you can use w3.css, foundations.css. No? Do you follow? You can also create your own JavaScript functions in a JavaScript file, right? Pwede mo split yung ano mo. You can split the styles, the JavaScript, and the HTML. Do you follow? So you can have a list of JavaScript functions that you use yourself, that you write and use yourself. You authored yourself. No? The alternative is to use existing JavaScript frameworks. Ibig sabihin, there are already JavaScript files, no, in jQuery. So meron na tayong jQuery functions. Ito pala yung sinasabi nila na napabagal-bagal. Pero actually, it's okay po, min. Mabagal lang siya. No? So, jQuery is an open source JavaScript library of functions, no? Which will allow you to manipulate the document object model. So, it's a collection of JavaScript functions, no? Do you follow? Do you follow? Do you get my point? No?
Yes, sir.
So, like, it also has a CDN. Ito yung CDN nyo. Ajax that there's a formal CDN, no? A formal CDN. Saan ko nalagay? Sa jQuery CDN, you can just search, no? There are many versions, no? Dapat ilagay ko ito sa ano. So ayan, no? The current version is 3.6.0. So like it also has a minified version. It has an uncompressed version which you can read, no? Do you follow? So, makita mo yun talaga yung mga functions. And then there's a minified version which is easier to load. Okay? But you cannot read, no? There's a slim version. They have removed certain functionalities. Meron silang dineprecate from the old JavaScript. Now, especially JavaScript 1, may mga functions sa JavaScript 1 na tinanggal na sa JavaScript 3. And there's also a slim minified, which means that it's a deprecated form in minified version. Tinanggal yung mga spaces and mga line separators. Okay? Do you follow? So you can include this in your source, no? Ito, do you follow? Okay? Do you follow? You can copy this, no? And include this under the script tag. Okay? Do you follow? Under the script tag, so you can make use of jQuery. Now, if you use Bootstrap, make sure that you have the same JavaScript, no? Automatically, Bootstrap will also use, no, jQuery. Ito may JavaScript, may jQuery bundle. Anyway, it's in our website, no? In our Dagler site. No? Nandito yung Bootstrap 5 CDN, Content Delivery Network link. Ito, no? So dito, ito under sa script, no? Meron siyang ginagamit na, no, it's a JavaScript itself, no? Separate na, hindi na pala jQuery ang ginamit niya, no? But it uses its own JavaScript file, no? Unlike in Bootstrap 3 and 4, no? Where it uses jQuery. Okay? So ang Bootstrap 5 may sarili na siyang JavaScript. Okay? So JavaScript are included in the script tag. Okay? Do you follow? So nandyan. Now, what's our selector again? The old selector is get element by, no? And then the old initiator is onload of the body. Do you follow? Doon tayo maglagay ng event listener. We place our event listener on the onload. On the new JavaScript, it's a little different, no? Okay? Diba? Okay. jQuery, no? You look at this, no? Now, the selector, ito naman muna, document.ready function, okay? This is the equivalent of onload, okay? Instead of you putting your code on the onload of the body, you call it on the document.ready. So ganito yon. You start your script, no, with document.ready function. This is like the onload. Do you follow? Do we have it in W3 schools? Remember, document.ready is just the modern version of onload. Okay? Tingnan mo, okay? Let's look at this, no? Sa body, wala nang onload. Okay? But in the JavaScript, we started with a document.ready. Because the document.ready function is the function that is called as soon as all the elements of the HTML are rendered. Do you follow? Do you get my point? Okay. So when we say document.ready, it's just like the onload of the body. Okay. Look at that, oh. So matagil na niya, no? Meron bang onload yung body natin dito? No. But we have a document.ready function. Okay. Which is now the new equivalent of the onload functionality in which we traditionally put on the body. Okay? Okay? Diba? Nakagamit kayo ng onload before? From now on, we will stop using onload. We will use document.ready. Okay? Any questions so far? Now, we also have a new selector. Okay? How do you choose elements in JavaScript? We just discussed that. How do we choose selectors? How do we choose elements?
Get element.
Get element. Okay. By ID, by name, by class name, so on and so forth. Dito, madali na lang. The $. Okay? And we can call this, the element being selected as this. Kasi paminsan, hindi natin alam yung name ng element. Do you follow? What? We can call it as this. Parang this sa C++. So, this.hide. Okay? So, for example, when we say $P, this chooses all P elements like in CSS. Do you follow? When you say $.test, this uses all elements with a class test. When you say $#test, this chooses all an element with an ID of test. Do you get my point? Any questions so far? Any questions? So itong function, itong syntax na ito, this syntax is still ES5 kasi meron pang function, okay? Do you follow? In ES6, wala ng function, okay? Parang people are getting lazier and lazier. So they remove more and more syntax, but it means the same. Okay? Do you follow? So ito yung, okay? Can we do this, no? Let's try this, no? So on the document.ready function, we pick the button, okay? And we assign a click event and the function, okay? Do you follow? So when you click this, it will hide the paragraphs, okay? Let's try if we can do this in ES5 and ES6 syntax. Sa ES6 syntax, wala nang ganyan. Ganun na lang. Do you follow? Let's try if it will run. O, pareho lang sila, di ba? Do you follow? Do you follow me? Ito kasi ES5 ito. May function pa siya, oh. Do you follow? Tanggalin natin yung function. We'll make it work like that, no? Okay, so pareho lang sila kasi tinatamad na yung mga coders, no? So tinanggal nila ng tinanggal para konti na lang yung itatype. Okay? Do you get my point? Okay? So, take a look, no? The document.ready function calls a function and then listens to all events. First, it listens to the click event of the button and it puts a hide, no? A hide response to the paragraphs, no? Do you follow? Do you follow? Do you get my point now? So don't be confused, no? Don't be confused with sometimes kasi kahit yung kahit yung ating mga videos, there are videos that are still in ES5, no? Tira natin, no? So, okay, now we can change this to ES6. Okay, how do we change this to ES6? We just remove the word function and we add a like that. No, equals and greater than. Okay. Okay, so sorry for the distraction. Itong function na to, we remove this. I'm sorry. We remove this and then assign it like that. Pareho lang naman yan sila, no? And then the document.ready function, remember, is just the equivalent of body on load. Ibig sabihin, this will be called as soon as the paragraph has been, or rather the whole page has been rendered. Okay? O, pareho lang, di ba? Diba? Okay? So, let's proceed to some more examples. Malapit na tayo matapos. So, syntax and selection, how do we select? We use the $. Instead of the get element, $. na tayo ngayon. Mayaman na tayo ngayon, no? $. na. Hindi na get element by ID. Okay? Do you follow? Okay? Any questions? So, pareho lang sila, no? Get element by ID is similar to the selector, which is the $. Okay. So, are you still using ES5? Hindi ko alam yung, I don't have any idea about the events-driven programming in the other class, no? But are you using ES5 or ES6? I'm sure you're using JavaScript, right? Okay. So jQuery events. So ito yung mga common events. Click sa mouse, no? Double click. Mouse enter, mouse leave. Now on a keyboard, key press when it's being pressed, key down because key press has two steps, no? A down and an up, no? A down is when you press it and an up is when you release it, no? Submit. This is on a button, no? When the form action is post. When you have a form action which is post, this is a submit event. Change focus and blur, no, on a form. So you can load. Anyway, we have document.ready here, no? Resize of a window, scroll of a whatever you want to scroll, no? And unload of a page, no? Most common events, no? So remember, merong click, double click, mouse enter, and then. So for example, p.click. What do we mean by this? We are going to pick all paragraphs elements and what will happen if they are clicked. Okay? Do you follow? Ito nga, try natin. Okay. I-click natin. Yes, it goes away. Click me too. It also goes away. Okay? Do you follow? No? So look at that, no? There's a document.ready function, which is actually the onload, which is executed when the whole page has been fully rendered. Okay? Okay? So, let's run this again. If you click me, I will disappear. Kung di pa siya, dito ka muna mauna. Bakit ayaw? Refresh ko muna. Ayan, no? I-refresh ko lang, no? Okay. Do you follow? So, we have animations, we have events, and we have responses. So, what are the common events? We have click, double click, mouse enter, mouse leave. Mayroong hover eh. Some lang naman kasi ito, no? Not all. Okay? Not all. Okay? Paragraph hide. So you have a paragraph. Ito na nga yung sinabi niya, no? Okay? Bakit ang isang paragraph lang ang ma-hide? Because of the this indicator. Do you follow? Ibig sabihin, if you click this paragraph, only this paragraph is hidden. Not all. Okay? Do you follow? Any questions so far? So madali lang ang jQuery, no? But the examples are very fascinating, no? Ang ganda ng mga examples niya. Okay, itong fade. Hide and show muna, no? Hide and show. Let's try this, no? Hide. Show. On. Okay? Do you follow? Sa document.ready pa rin nilagay. Okay? And then we have fade. Fade, ang daming fade, oh. Fade toggle, fade in, okay? So, ang div 1, gawin niyang ano. Oh, fade. Okay? So, may mga, you can have a slope or you can have a number of seconds. This is 3 seconds, no? Fade in. Saan natin? So, the first div, which is, no, ito yung first div, oh. Lagyan lang niya ng ano, na actually nilagyan lang niya ng background color. Okay? Fade in. And then slide. Okay, let's try this slide. May mga slide up, slide down, no? Okay. The slide. What kind of slide? Slide down. Okay? Meron ding slide up. Okay. Malayo pa tayo. Okay. Okay. Slide up. Okay. What else do we have? Toggle. What slide toggle? Let's try that, no? Down and up. Mag-toggle siya, oh. Okay. Ang ganda, no? Mag-toggle. Okay. So, have you seen web pages like that? Slide. This is a quiz, no? Now, a very important function of jQuery is jQuery animate. Marami, for animate, you will have a lot of animations, no? Ang ganda, no? Okay. You study this, no? The different ways to animate. Itong animate niya kasi animate left. Okay. It's just changing the position. Okay. It animates by changing the position of the element. Okay. No? Left 250 px. Animate left. Okay. Why does it move right? Okay. Ito yung div na ito. Okay. The position is absolute. So, ibig sabihin on an assigned position. No? Okay. So, ang dami nitong animate, no? For example, this, no? The click of a button, and then it will animate. Let's start this. Okay, do you follow? No? That's another animate. The different ways to animate, no? So, you can already see, no? Your next page should have animation. Okay? So, there's the animate function of jQuery. Ang dami pa. Ang ganda nito siguro, no? There's so many things. We cannot discuss all of them, no? Okay? Do you follow? So, you can just copy this if you like. The last animate. Okay? Do you follow? No? So, di ba? Parang CNN. So we will have, now I'll figure out the rubrics. Okay. So, ano nangyari dun sa aking ano? Wala na yung aking Dagler. So, madali na lang tayo, no? Because we already have a jQuery that will help us do the things that we'd like to do. Who has done this before? So yung third, performance assessment, ha? Animation. Okay. I will discuss callback and set and get. Okay. Next meeting. Okay. For the moment, I think that's enough for now. No. Okay. Any questions so far? Our formative assessment is moved next week. No? And I'll give you the third rubrics by next week na lang, no? For the moment, you can just try anything you'd like to try, no? For jQuery. There's also a popular jQuery UI, but it has stopped, a popular jQuery, jQuery. I don't think it has a latest update. No? Pero ang ganda nung kanyang demos. Ruggable, okay. What's the latest version? Ang ganda nito, no? But has it changed? No? Last jQuery UI version. Iba rin ito. This is a different author, no? So 1.13 siya, na-stuck siya. Okay? And bago na ito, no? We will include this na lang. Kasi may bagong version ng this is really a new version. October 7, 2021. Okay? Demos, no? Ito, jQuery UI. Look at the demos, no? Ruggable. Drag me around, oh. Draggable siya, oh. Do you follow? Draggable. The source. Ayan. Okay? Meron lang siyang style na draggable. And then ID na draggable. Now this uses jQuery UI ito, no? It's a sister library, no? Of jQuery, no? jQuery UI. We'll also try to do this. Droppable. Okay? Drop here. Pwede mo i-drop dyan. Okay? Take note. No? May source code yan, no? Drop, resizable. Okay, so pwede mo ma-resize. Okay? Resizable. Okay? Just div lang yun, ano? Selectable. Okay? Okay? Selectable. Ang ganda ng kanyang So mabilis na tayo masyado. We can create animated web pages. Sortable. Itong mga accordion maganda ito, no? O pwede mo ilipat-lipat. Okay? Are these divs? Let's look at that. Ang mga lists, no? How do you make a list, sortable? Ang hirap niya, no? But there's already a jQuery UI. And then the widgets, ang ganda nito, no? Accordions. Okay? Have you done this? Sino nakagawa nito doon sa Okay? Sectioning. This is called an accordion. jQuery UI. Sasali natin ito, no? Kasali naman siya sa ating it's included in our daily learn anyway, no? I haven't included it the last time kasi matagal itong hindi nag-update. But now it has a 2021 update. So it's good news for us, no? Autocomplete. Ito, kung mag-search ka, okay? You supply the autocomplete, no? Diba? Okay? Whatever the autocomplete you'd like to supply. There, you like this, right? Okay. Ang ganda ditong mga buttons na. Look at the buttons, okay? Widget buttons, walang effects, no? I'm not sure how. Pero makita mo kung anong nag-click. Okay? Mahirap ito gagawin sa CSS. Okay. Date picker. You need this, right? Oh, ang ganda, di ba? Date picker. Can you have this? No? Kasali ito dapat sa rubrics, ha? Picking dates. Okay? Date picker. And then we have a checkbox. No? Okay? So, madali na lang gawin, no? You can easily make forms like this. Look at the code. No? So much easier, no? Do you follow? Progress bar. Wow, meron ba siyang menu? Okay, oh, yan. Progress bar. Okay, you have a delay. Menu. Okay, and then you have Gire ko ate. Go mo. I'm sorry for the disturbance. No? Spinner. Ito, maganda itong spinner. Okay, itong spinner, no? Yan. They follow. Disable, enable, pwede o. Toggle widget. Okay. Pwede. Tabs. Ito kasi wala ng tabs sa ano eh. Wala na tayong tabs sa Bootstrap 5. Do you follow? Wala na tayong tabs. So, meron tayo dito sa jQuery UI. Okay? Do you follow? You can look at the source code. Effects. Show. No? Many effects. Okay? So, jQuery and jQuery UI, no? You try, no? Find the appropriate animation you'd like to, to toggle. Ito, toggle show hide. Okay? Do you follow? Ang dami, no? Ang dali na lang. Just look at the code. You can copy and paste. Okay? Any questions so far? So, I give you the rubrics. No? I am sure you can tackle this yourself. And I think it's, yeah, wala naman din tayo masyadong time. No? So anyway, it's in our, nandun naman sa, jQuery and jQuery UI. It's important that you know how to select the document elements. Okay? Sinali ko ba ang jQuery UI? I'll add the references regarding jQuery UI. Kasali siya eh. Sa tingin ko kasali siya eh. Oh, kasali siya, no? I'll fill this up anyway. Any questions? So see you next meeting. Okay. Next meeting is Thursday. I hope I can already establish the rubrics by then. Okay. Bye everyone.
Bye, sir. Thank you, sir.
Bye, sir.
Yes, sir.
See you next time.
Bye, sir.